What's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. We had the 4th week of the winter grid for Europe wrap up, so all the grids are done for the winter split. The only thing that is remaining is the last regional. So a lot of exciting things there, but in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the grid, the results, and some of the similarities that we continue to see, how things have, what it feels like, gone back to normal in Europe. With that said, if you guys do have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, a follow, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff, whether it be on the social medias or here on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it. Trying to hit 50,000 subs by the end of the year, and we're slowly making our way, so I do appreciate it. With that said, let's get straight into it. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the results of the grid, both the group stage as well as the playoffs for European week number 4 of the winter split. That naming convention still needs to be less wordy. I got to find a way to make an acronym or something like that. There's no real good options for it. Going to be taking a look at the groups. Group A is going to be Giants, Galaxy Racer, Triple Trouble, and Wolves. And in that order for the results, 2-1 Giants, 2-1 Galaxy Racer, 1-2 Triple Trouble, and 1-2 for Wolves. This one pretty much going as expected. Triple Trouble did show some pretty good signs up against Giants. Then surprisingly enough, the only win for the Wolves was actually against Giants, where they win in 5. So some pretty weird contrast in that. I would say that Giants and Galaxy Racer are the two best teams, but for some reason Giants is losing to Wolves, but then they're sweeping Galaxy Racer. So I don't know if it's a level of familiarity or playstyle differences or what, but that is how it all plays out. In Group B, Top Blokes back to form at 3-0, Oxygen right behind them at 2-1. Dignitas at 1-2, and then Liquid 0-3. A little bit more normal with Liquid underperforming. Oxygen trying to get back on that resurgence. Dignitas kind of middle of the pack, which is what seems to be the case. But Top Blokes 3-0, I think, is the big one. This group is nasty. There's a lot of really good talent in this group. Team Liquid obviously has had some good results in the past like week and a half and stuff, and kind of got their fan base hopes up, but falling short here, unfortunate for them. But the competition they're going up against is some of the best in the region. You've got in Group C, Singularity at 2-1, Fadeaway at 2-1, Endpoint 1-2, and Guild 1-2. Some interesting things about this group. Fadeaway actually has disbanded. They're no longer a team. They're just finishing out the split for the grid to get that prize money if they do well. Singularity, again, for me, is a team that is either great or not so great. There is one or the other. There's nothing in between. During group stage, they look pretty good. 3-0 Fadeaway, 3-1 Endpoint, but they do end up losing to Guild in 5. Is good to see Guild, a team that I do think is very talented, back on the upswing, at least in groups. We'll see how it plays out in the playoffs. You then go to Group D. You've got Vitality 3-0, looking stronger than they've looked in a very long time. A very solidified Vitality. Redemption, who has announced that they are sticking together for the next split at 2-1. BDS at 1-2, and then Rix at 0-3. Rix kind of expected it on the 0-3, but the big surprise, and could have been a totally different story with BDS, but they do lose to Redemption in 5 in the 3rd and final round. This is just a high-scoring affair. BDS put up a lot of goals, but consistency from Redemption in this one. 2 goals a game minimum, but they also had a 3-goal game, a 4-goal game, and another 3-goal game. So a lot of goals from Redemption. High-flying offense, as always. So that wraps up for the groups. Let's check a look at the playoffs and the results there. We're going to start with the round of 16 and then go round to round just to make it easier. First up, Giants 3-0 Rix. No surprise there. They do go 0-4 on the whole tournament. So that sucks for Rix. Not a single win. You then look at Oxygen and Endpoint. Oxygen beating Endpoint. Unfortunate for Endpoint fans, but Oxygen, to me, has finally gotten over the initial issues of we have a mentality problem and we're going to fall because there's pressure. It seems like that mental coach that's come in has really helped them out. The downfall now is I feel like the only big threat for them is Astral popping off. There needs to be some sort of other player stepping up on that team. You can't just ride the coattails of Astral. I think Shazette and Fair are both very talented players. We talked about this last week as well during regional stuff, but they just need extra additional help, consistent help at a high level. You see the difference it's made for someone like Dignitas by bringing in apparently Jack that works in tandem with Joria's. Team Vitality versus Guild. Even though Guild's been treading in the right direction, they do go up against a hot-looking Vitality. Commentators were talking about how Vitality was a little bit disconjointed. They weren't as clean, but I didn't see it. I think Vitality is playing pretty good. Really clean on challenges, urgency to the ball. There was a couple times where they purposely gave space to draw out Guild, but other than that, like, Vitality played pretty clean. They went 3-1 over Guild. Galaxy Racer versus Dignitas. Dignitas, to me, trending in a really good direction. I don't really have any concerns with Dignitas. I think they either lose to a really good team or they move on. Their last losses came from BDS, and that's it. So They move on into the quarterfinals. Fun matchup for them next, up against Vitality. We then go down one more, and it's Singularity versus Liquid. And Singularity either looks amazing or not, and Liquid tends to struggle. So Liquid struggles again here, and it is Team Singularity 3-0 clean sweep, and they move on through to the quarterfinals. Right below that is Redemption versus Triple Trouble, and this one's an interesting one because even though Redemption looks good in groups, they do struggle a bit here, and that's all that matters. You can look as bad as you want. You can go 3-0 in groups, Jamal Jabari, but then get 0-3 by Alpine in the playoffs, and it doesn't matter. So you need to step up when it matters most, and Triple Trouble is actually pretty common for that, where they do have a big result when everything is on the line. So congrats to them. They move on. They'll be playing Singularity in the next round. You then got Top Blokes versus Wolves. Top Blokes still on the money, right through Wolves. No issues there. And then BDS versus Fadeaway. That's an assumed win for BDS as well. They just outclass them, not only in speed and pacing and everything else, but just individual skill too. No shots at Fadeaway. They're disbanding. They're trying to find new team members anyway. But BDS is, to me, still the best team in Europe. So they move on. We then look at the quarterfinals. Starting at the top, you got Giants versus Oxygen. And to me, Giants is still a top 3 team, while Oxygen, when they go up against adversity and really, really dominant teams, usually a coin flip now, which I think is good, but I still give the nod every single time to the top dogs. This one, if you look at the scoreline, game 1 is in favor of Oxygen, is a 6-second OT where they win 3-2. So right off the kickoff, it ends up going in. So even the first game is super close, but then after that, 1-0, 2-1, and then 5-0, where Giants really breaks it open. So Oxygen does put up a pretty good fight, but close losses really stink. I don't know if it's a mentality thing towards the end, but Giants to me always has that pick either way. So they move on to the semifinals. You then got Vitality versus Dignitas. And again, I'm mentioning Dignitas only losing to really good teams. This is good looking Vitality. Vitality playing pretty dang well on the day. Dignitas does take game 1 because I think Vitality's coming off a weird adjustment to Guild's playstyle. While Dignitas is very emphasized on working the field, passes, infield. And if you're not ready for that stuff, it definitely catches you off guard. But then after that, Vitality wins every single one. 2-1, 3-1, and 1-0 with an OT of 9 minutes. Another series going super close to the all-time record. I know someone in the comments brought it up how, like, in a regional match, there was something about the longest OT being like 11 minutes and some change. Clarity on my part, I think it's the longest OT of like this season, RLCSX. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. Or this split, maybe just the winter split. I'd have to double check the stats. I get them from somebody in my Discord by the name of Direct. Shout out to Direct. And puts out some crazy numbers when it comes to the stats. He's been getting love on the broadcast too. So might as well give it to him here. But Vitality over Dignitas 3-1. We then drop down Singularity, Triple Trouble. Again, Singularity outpaces the heck out of Triple Trouble. I will say that Triple Trouble and Bluey, if Bluey does get picked up, Bluey looked stellar. A lot of pre-jumps, really good touches. A lot of times he bails his team out of some stressful situations. So Bluey, if he gets picked up, he's still looking pretty studly. But unfortunately, it's not enough. 4-1, 3-2 with an OT of 49 seconds, and then 3-1. So unfortunate for Triple Trouble, they end there. But because I think they win the first round, they do make it into the major. I'll have to check with that. I'll keep you guys updated on the standings at the very end. And in the last quarterfinals is Top Blokes versus BDS, and poor Top Blokes gets swept. BDS, 2 OTs. It is 1-0, 2-1, and then the last game BDS opens it up at 3-0. This is very familiar to version 1 and G2, where G2 does sweep them in groups, but they keep it super close. 2 OTs and then a loss. Very similar score lines as well. I think it was 3-1 though for version 1. But yeah, I mean, this, even though it's a sweep, doesn't tell the story. It was super close, really hard fought, a lot of OT play, and a couple mistakes here and there that just bite Top Blokes, but that's BDS. BDS is relentless, and they put a lot of pressure on, and eventually they will force you to make a mistake. So Top Blokes trying, but not able to squeak it out here. You then get into the semifinals, and at the top, you got Vitality versus Giants, and Vitality continues to go on their streak. This one does go to 6 with 2 overtimes in game 3, a minute 29, and game 6, a minute 37. First one in favor of Giants, second one in favor of Vitality, but a lot of goals. If Vitality's scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, you're not going to beat them. That's too many. Your defense is too good. So this one was actually high scoring affair on both sides. Whoever won just had a ton of goals. The only anomaly to that was game 5, where it was 1-0 in favor of Vitality. And you thought, okay, this one's going to come back a little bit. It is going to be a fight. And in best of 7s, it does definitely change up. Usually we talk about game 3 being that pivotal moment where, you know, this team's on a hot streak. They're looking good. It takes us usually about 2 games to adjust to that. And game 3, it goes back the other way. In best of 7s, that's usually game 3 and game 5. And then 6, 7, if they do go, are really neutral. Whether it's 1-goal games, teams have pretty much gotten adjusted to the play style. It's just a matter of mistakes, individual mechanics, and like standout players that are going to go above and beyond to kind of get those extra goals. So this one, that does happen in the end too, where it is a 1-0 and then a 3-2 OT to end it. So Vitality, though, playing really well. It's good to see Vitality back in form. There was a lot of concerns about them, but again, they tend to get hot when it matters most. Lower half, not a whole lot to talk about. It's BDS versus Singularity. Even though it is 2 OTs at the very beginning, 338 and 251, both in favor of BDS. Game 3, that pivotal moment I'm talking about, is Singularity 3-1, but then BDS really puts on the goals. It's as if they like let off the gas and were playing with their food, and then they're just like, wait, we're definitely the better team here. 4-1, 8-1, like it was a bloodbath towards the end. So BDS, after this series was over and you really saw how well they were clicking, you're like, I don't know if Vitality has a chance. Vitality's been playing good today, and like initially when I watched that first series, I'm like, yeah, Vitality's gonna take it. But then I saw this from BDS and I'm like, strength of schedule. Vitality did against Giants. Maybe they still give them the nod as compared to BDS versus Singularity. Then Singularity is like a team that can play really well too, and towards the top and have taken victories too. How is this going to play out? We then get into the grand final and we saw it, and it was very close. This was actually a really good series. And I guess the biggest thing to this, and kind of talking about the title of this video, is it does definitely feel like things are back to normal in Europe, where there's a little bit more predictability. You have a general idea of who's going to make it, with a couple anomalies here and there. And there's teams that are pushing into that. Oxygen, Dignitas, Singularity. Other than that, you have your typical top four: Vitality, BDS, Top Lokes, and Giants, and not in that order. But then you have a couple others that like every once in a while will do that upset and move in. So a little bit of normalcy and a little bit of more consistency in the EU for the results towards the top, which I think is exciting, especially with the majors coming up. It's going to create that gap even more so. If you guys don't know the details about the major, I put a video out about that yesterday. Make sure you go check that out. But yeah, it's been really exciting to see how this has evolved overall when it comes to just Europe as a whole. And even though I do like parity and I do like differences in results, I do enjoy watching teams that have played each other a lot play each other again, because it creates better storylines and gives us history on the matchup. So BDS, another win, another one, man. They continue to do it. It's impressive. It really is. I've not seen this level of dominance ever from a team, and maybe it is different. Maybe if Dignitas back when it was the dynasty or whatever got to play this much in this many tournaments, you could have saw it too. But what BDS is doing is really impressive. That is going to wrap it up for this recap video for week 4 of EU Grid. If you guys do have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. Thoughts, ideas, opinions as well. But that is going to do it for me today. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.